Hello. I wanted to make a video overview is that I noticed a correlation between the four animals and the four suits of tarot. And I wanted to talk about that if anyone was interested in it. And uh, just kind of where this came from, actually. You can skip to some timestamp I'll put in there, but where I got the idea, oh Lord, my face. Where I got the idea was one of Dave and Shan's videos was about how they typed Jung and they were talking about NE and they were saying, wow, it's so crazy how he picked up thinking, feeling, sensing, and intuition out of just thin air, just like he was seeing fours. And I was thinking about it and I was kind of thinking about numerology. I'm not deep into numerology. I don't believe the numbers. Like, I'm not looking everywhere. I just like to know the meanings of numbers so that I can symbolically manipulate them, right? I'm kind of just interested in the symbology myself. Now, what I thought when they said this, how did you pick these patterns out of thin air looking at people, is that those things are probably real. But him thinking of the number four, often in Western thought and many other cultures, it pops up many other places, is the idea of four elements. Um, earth, wind, water, fire, right? And um, basically, if you kind of look at the world, kind of like think about how a primitive person would look at it, they go, the river flows, there's soil. We have a campfire, and I see the wind. I see the wind moving stuff, and I feel it on my, I feel it on me. It's just like looking at stuff. You can kind of, they can categorize stuff like that. And many cultures have done this, and not just the West. Because if you look up just any random country, just go into Google Wikipedia, look up some random Asian country, ask what their four elements are historically, it will usually be those four elements. But for instance, in China, there are five elements. They take out wind and add wood and metal for some reason, right? And they have their own kind of feng shui system on that. Um, Now, that's my kind of consume story, and I'm probably going to keep telling you a consume story. But what I noticed was in tarot, there are four suits, just like hearts and clubs and diamonds and whatever, like just like a regular deck. But the four suits in tarot are these four items, and you can see them on the table. This is the Magician card. It is the cups, the swords, the wands, and right there is a coin that is a pentacle. So I have these as an example right here. And just like a regular deck of cards, they have aces, and it goes up to 10, and they'll have kings, queens, and instead of jacks, they'll have pages and knights as well. So it goes up to 10, and then they also have like royal cards or human, kind of more human cards. Um, so I was looking at it. I was thinking about the four elements. I was thinking about the four elements in these cards. As you can see, if you look at this wands picture, wands are considered fiery. I mean, wood is burned. That's where most fire comes from. In kind of the ancient mind, wands represent fire. But looking at the whole set of cards in the suit of wands, I started to notice a correlation. At first, I was looking at it and I was thinking, if you look at the description for the suit itself, the suit for wands is creativity and ambition. And at first I was like, okay, creativity, any ambition. I'm not saying no one but any's can be ambitious, but I was kind of looking at it. I was like, oh, that could be any or SE. Could be both. And then I started to think about it, and I started to notice I have kind of like 6 cards laid out here of each suit, and if I pull up some, like what is this? What does this depict? Like this guy is smiling, and they're all struggling together. It's like that looks like play to me, right? Um, a lot of the suit descriptions of the cards, like this one is action and excitement. You know, a lot of things are up in the air and we don't know if anything will come of it. I'm like, that's play. It's very, there are things where it's kind of like, you know, this one is a claim and success and he's won something and everyone is behind him cheering him, right? But it is kind of a chaotic play. It's very play oriented if you know the tarot, right? Um, Now, if you know any tarot, you might start to wonder, well, what are the other ones? And here's my next correlation: the swords, suit of swords. Um, I associate this with blast. It is associated with thinking, the element of air, thinking, and anxiety, and it is also called the sorrowful suit. Now, maybe anxiety is OE. My real theory is that these cards are actually have a specific function set associated with them, um, of a certain quadrant, the people who made it, and they kind of just associate these two things. But I think the sword, what is it? What is this? A blade. What do blades do? They cut. What does blast do? It cuts. Um, the other thing is in the tarot, the fire and air, the wands and the swords are considered the masculine elements and masculine suits. And in OPS, we associate sensation and thinking, sensation and thinking with masculinity, not intuition. But masculine and feminine, as we kind of know, but I will just tell this consume story. Is Jordan Peterson talked about masculinity and femininity in mythology um, in one of his lectures, I remember, and he said, you know, in mythology, masculinity and femininity in like elements can be relative. So if the story is of the ocean and an island popping out of the ocean is feminine and the island is masculine. But if it is land and the land is feminine and the sky is masculine, right? Um, and yeah. So but we've kind of seen that in OPS. We've seen like intuition can be masculine, you know, feelings can be masculine, thinking can be feminine. Like it is a relative thing, but it seems like the most masculine of the masculine is ST. The most feminine of the feminine is NF, right? But the most masculine animals are play and blast, the extroverted ones. So, um, if you want to look at the individual cards of the suit of swords, I think sometimes they show consume last problems. Actually, I think it's the only suite with a few people who are blindfolded. Um, and it's a kind of my mother is a consume last, and she's been getting this card a lot. Of this card is anxiety and tension, and it is about how someone has turned their back to the problem and won't look at it, and they're blindfolded, right? The twos are usually about choices, and this one is yeah, a lot of that, and this one is about how uh, it's about feeling stuck, but it's the meaning of it is, you know, your arms are tied up, but your legs are free. You're surrounded by a bunch of swords, a bunch of problems, but you could just walk out. Like nothing's really keeping you there. It's not like you're in a cage. You just feel in a cage, right? But the reason I associate it with Blast is because all the cards are very final. The message of the cards are like, let's look at these things, right? Tension released. So often this is when something bad has happened, and it's kind of just telling you something bad has happened. This one is accept the limits of victory and defeat. And this one is moving away from, you should move away from strife. And all these cards they all kind of pop out at you and kind of say like, they're kind of blasting at you, kind of. They're kind of telling you, do this, move away. In a sense, yeah. Another one which I've gotten a lot is this Seven of Swords, and it's a picture of a person stealing a bunch of swords out of a camp. And the description of the card is using tact and guile. And my mother, being a blaster, when she's trying to get some information into someone's head who doesn't agree with her, I've seen her come to me with one set of information, knowing I will accept it, and then to someone else who's like, nah, she'll just give you, she'll just go this, and I'm like, what? You didn't say that to me. You got to tell them the whole story. It's like consume problems, right? For me, I'm being a consumer. She's being a blaster. She's actually having tact when trying to get information in because no one will listen to you, right? And she just has a lot more tact having blast first. In a sense, like I know you probably experience blasters who are like, and you're like, wow, you just won't shut up, telling me what to do, especially if you're an EP. But often you will realize when you start blasting, you'll realize how much tact and cutting down you need to be doing, right? So, I associate the swords with blast. Literally, blast is cutting down information to make it digestible because no one will listen to your goddamn consume story like I'm doing now, right? So, next, there are the two suits that are last are the Pentacles, which are coins, that coin right there, and the Cups. And I want to talk about the Pentacles. The Pentacles are related to Earth, and it's literally a coin. It's literally wealth. You might wonder, what of the four animals could that be related to? And I think the suit relates to sleep. And here are a few examples. The Four of Pentacles is a man holding a pentacle on a chest, right? And the theme is holding on too hard. You're holding on too hard. If you're asleep, you probably have had many times where you have held on to your way of doing things for too long and not wanted to try a new way. Another thing, like the advantage of sleep, this one is a new opportunity. On one side, he has a field of full-grown crop, and the next he has an opportunity, an empty field, which he can grow in. I think this is kind of kicking you out of the sleep, but it's like he slept on this, and this built up, and he has a new opportunity now. And this one right here is just, it is the Eight of Pentacles, and it is just about steady growing skills. I feel like a lot of the Pentacles are about skills, about doing something over time. And when we think of money, I mean like coins, money. What is money to humans? Money is a store of energy. Is it not? Like, isn't a way for, I did energy, you gave me this, I'm storing it for later so I don't have to expend energy later. It's also for transactions. But what is wealth? Like, sleep. And another example is just kind of these two cards, which are from the royalty. But the Page of Pentacles and the Knight of Pentacles, they're both standing in fields, and they're both just saying, you are going to slowly build something. Sleep. Now, there's only one card left to talk about. One suit left to talk about. And that is the Cups. And by default, what would the Cups be associated with? What is a cup? A cup is something you consume out of. Maybe I should start with that. I'll start with that next time. Cups are something you consume out of. You literally eat out of a cup. They're associated with feelings and the element of water, and a few kind of consume correlations. They're about relationships. You might think FE, like these cards, are about just coming together, relationship and reunion, right? And there it's a couple exchanging cups. But you also see a lot of the negatives of consume in there as well, which are the 4 and the 5. This one is an image of discontent. And so look at this guy, little sad face. Little sad face. He has 3 cups. He's not satisfied. He's even being offered a magical cup magically. Discontent. What is more lead consume than not being happy with what you got? Going more, 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 more. This one is kind of the same. This is sadness and sorrow and regrets. He's look at this figure. He's crying over spilled cups, even though he's got 2 perfectly good cups. He's got 3 spilled cups, 2 perfectly good cups. The 7 of cups is daydreams, and he's dreaming about all the things he could have. And in each cup is a different option, right? And the last one, this one is, I believe it is sensual fulfillment. It's a romantic couple at a feast. Actually, it's just 2 of them, but it's literally a banquet. So my theory of all of this, is this was developed. My knowledge of tarot is it was finalized or made official by something in Italy, but it probably was banging around in Europe for a while. So I think this has to do with the ENFP quadrant. I think ENFPs made it, and they projected their animals onto it. So just to reiterate, I know I've already said it all. The wands are play. The swords are blast. The pentacles are sleep. And the cups are consume. And there's my evidence and blah, blah, and there you go.